So I'm going to try and do this series of videos from inside the garage, just because rolling it out at the moment is a bit tricky because I'm only here on my own. So what we have is we've got two cameras. There's one there and there's one up there. Neither of them work properly. One was wired into a rear view screen for general driving because obviously you can't see out, and the other one should be wired into the back of the AIM Strada dash for when it goes into reverse, but they couldn't get it to work because they didn't have a reverse signal to turn it on, so they said it wasn't working. So we have LED reverse and brakes and indicators, and the same goes this side. Winch is wired in, unused, still sealed. So the battery that was here almost blew up. It actually swelled up, so I took it out and got rid of it. So I can put in two new batteries, there's no problem. So as you can see, the wiring of it is not the neatest. Sat in a winch tray here, so clamped in, and we go to a Durite controller. So my theory from what the electrician had said was that the battery this side controlled fans and all pumps and things like that, and the battery this side, and the winches, and the battery this side controlled the engine, so that we always had the engine on its own power supply. Connectors into the lights, so they're actually Ford lights, so I've got another set. So they go into these horrible waterproof connectors, but the panels are going to end up staying on rather than being bolted on. So they're bolted on at the moment with countersunk screws, and they're going to change over to be riveted on. So I can do that, or you can do that. I really couldn't care less. Brake light, that should be wired in. The wiring's here, and it goes off somewhere and does something, and then you've got the camera wiring there. And all the wiring really should go down that side. So there's earth studs everywhere. They all wanted earth studs everywhere, so I put earth studs everywhere. Fueling is up high at the moment. It's up high purely because the tank's up high, and to get some fall into it, that was about as good as I could do. So again, that can be adjusted, manipulated, whatever, don't really care. Exhaust system is full stainless steel coming out the side of the front of the engine, coming around. It's all just clamped together at the moment. It needs welding, it's stainless. And I sold my TIG plant. I really like welding, but you know, there we go. Because we've got washer, so washers are both sides, so there and there. So this one feeds that one, and that one feeds the front. Because whenever I'm off road, one thing I always do is I run out of washer fluid. So I believe that works. Haven't tested that one yet. Then we have got fan temperature controllers, again wired in, so that operates those, and it operates the gearbox oil cooler, which is here. Heater circuit here, which is awful, and I want to take that out and get rid of that and just plumb past it, because then that frees up so much pipe work. I may do that before it comes down to you. Then we've got fuel system. So we've got a return, a vent, and an out feed, whatever you want to call it, that come down into a fuel pump that's down there and wired in. With this gone, that may be better running lower down. There's loads of hose there, so there's no problem on that. And it may be better bringing that up. Door locks and latches, forget about that. We'll probably talk about that one face to face. And we move along here. So obviously we've got the reverse gear interlock, so that you can't start the engine in reverse gear, is not fitted, but it's in a box in here. The ECU runs, that's fine, so that the engine does start and run, but obviously the gearbox does nothing. At the moment the lever is going this way on the gearbox because I could not work out a way of making it so it went in the normal operation. You can see over there there's Flappy Pedals. Let's come over here. So there's Flappy Pedals, those are the 4 wires just there that would connect into the gearbox to operate these Flappy Pedals, and these Flappy Pedals are really nice. Half-fitted bloody switches. They really haven't finished things off in here. Warning lights across the dash, which they didn't need to do, and that just needs tidying up and finishing off because it just looks shit. Then we've got a hazard warning switch just sat here, which should be in there, may or may not be wiring for it. This is the controller for the gearbox, which is only part wired in. These are the holes that need sealing up again. Then there's a switch here for a map light stroke interior light. I've got switches here for interior light, but again needs a bit of fettling. Let's see. Right, so that'll probably do for this first video, but hopefully this gives you a little bit of a guide. So I can show you a little bit around. So we've got brake lines, but I think for IVA we need an actual tag welded on here that it goes through on a P-clip rather than that. But it does all work. They did fit and finish that, but it isn't brilliant. Right, underneath here, so you can see the main piping for fuel and for hot and cold water runs on here. But again, that will simplify when we get the heater out. And then at the back, so it's Fox suspension. I'm happy to use the existing ones, but if there's a simpler, cheaper alternative that we can plug and play and only have one shock in each corner, fine. If it's worth taking these off and selling them. If it's not worth taking them off and selling them, and it's better to just refurb them, if you guys can refurb them, and then it's just about getting the right springs on them. So it's an Audi Sport Rad. It's the biggest one that they do. There was a hole on it. He did a repair on it as a favour to me. Yeah, so that's really the back and the side anyway.